The governments of Peru and Ecuador declared a 90-day sanitary emergency after confirming a bird flu outbreak in both countries. President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, warned that his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, is trying to involve NATO troops in the conflict. And heavy gun battles resumed on Thursday in eastern DRC between M23 rebels and the Congolese army after 5 days of truce following the decisions of the Luanda summit of November 23rd. Hello, welcome to teleSUR English. I am Estefania Bravo from the headquarters of Quito in Ecuador. This is from the south. Governments of Peru and Ecuador declared a 90-day sanitary emergency after confirming a bird flu outbreak in both countries. Peruvian authorities reported the outbreak in a poultry farm in the region of Lambayeque. Ecuadorian health officials had announced yesterday that they will slaughter more than 108,000 birds to avoid the spread of the disease. Representatives of both nations urged the population to maintain the corresponding biosecurity measures while stressing that during the emergency period, it will be possible to transport poultry products or byproducts in order to control the contagion. In Argentina, private consulting firms placed November inflationary parameters below 6%. Although this number is still high, the data indicates that governmental fair prices program is having a positive impact on the inflation index. It stipulates that for the next 90 days, there will be no price increases above 4% per month. According to the reports presented by one of the private consulting firms, the items with highest prices are housing, water, electricity, gas, other fuels, and goods and services. According to the Consumer Price Index produced by Libertad y Progreso Foundation, November would have shown a monthly index of 5.9%, thus accumulating an inflation rate of 87% in the first 11 months of the year. Governments of Uruguay officially requested to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership Treaty. The request was sent by Uruguay's Foreign Affairs Minister, Francisco Bustillo, to New Zealand's Minister of Trade, Export Growth and Head of Primary Industries, Damien O'Connor. Uruguayan President Luis Lacalle Pou restated that current international law enables Uruguay to move forward in making Mercosur more flexible and that his country needs to open up to the world. He also said that joining this treaty will bring this country and its people new opportunities. And the official submission of the request came hours after Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay had expressed their rejection of the intentions of the government of Lacalle Pou to carry out individual negotiations outside Mercosur. In a note published by the chancellors of the three countries, they expressed their disagreement with the eventual signing of unilateral agreements with China, the Trans-Pacific Association. The ruling of the International Court of Justice of The Hague on the dispute between Bolivia and Chile resolves. The Silala watercourse is international. This was stated by the judge and president of the court, Joan Donough.
During the proceedings, it became clear the parties agree on the principle of equitable and reasonable use of the Silala and its waters, regardless of their natural or artificial characteristics. The parties agree that both sides are entitled to equitable and reasonable use of the Silala waters under international law.
In this regard, the Foreign Minister of Bolivia, Rogelio Maita, stressed that the ruling of the International Court of Justice made clear Bolivia's right to the use of the Silala and its waters.
The ruling in these lines gives us important certainties. I believe that it is worth noting some of them. First of all, the court made it clear that Bolivia has a right to the scoring carried out in its territory. The court made it clear that Bolivia has a right to the equitable and reasonable use of the Silala and its waters.
Chilean President Gabriel Boric expressed his satisfaction after the International Court of Justice confirmed that the Silala, a cross-border river disputed between Chile and Bolivia, is an international watercourse.
Today, we can focus on what unites us and not on what separates us, thus enhancing cooperation to contribute to the development of our countries and peoples. We will promote the continuity of the agenda of rapprochement with the Plurinational Republic of Bolivia. It is our intention to deepen relations, to improve relations. It is an important neighbor for us. We have many issues to work on together.
On Thursday in Haiti, several political personalities expressed their condemnation of the massacre that took place in the town of Sucre Matelas and the government's silence on the strong violence that the country is going through. Former Central Bank Governor Fritz Jean criticized the continuation of murders, gang rapes, kidnappings, and robberies in the country without giving the victims the right for justice. These statements come after at least 12 people were killed in the commune of Cabaret, north of Port-au-Prince, the country's capital, where several houses were set on fire. We're taking our first break now. Join us again after this, but also don't forget to follow us on our TikTok account at teleSUR English for more. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. More news now. In the U.S., Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg warned that a possible strike by railroad workers would paralyze the entire country and severely damage the economy. A prolonged conflict keeps latent a possible strike in the railroad industry since the government, the unions, and the employers have not been able to reach an agreement on paid sick leave benefits demanded by workers, arguing that they are exposed to long working days in adverse weather conditions and that the industry yields enough gains to grant such benefits. A strike has been called for next Friday, December the 9th. And in related news, the U.S. executive is pressing Congress to pass a forced settlement bill to prevent the risk of labor strikes. And amid the present conflict with railroad workers, the House of Representatives on Wednesday passed a railroad labor settlement legislation that includes 7 days of paid sick leave. The bill, which must be approved by the Senate, binds companies and workers to an agreement that had been rejected by several of the unions involved in negotiations and that represents some 115,000 employees. U.S. President Joe Biden asked to have the bill approved and ready for signing the weekend. President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, warned that his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky is trying to involve NATO troops in the conflict. The Belarusian president pointed out that Ukraine is trying to drag NATO forces into the war under any pretext, while denouncing an increase in actions aimed at provoking the Belarusian forces near the border. Lukashenko assured that his country is trying to contain potential adversaries from using force against the country. However, he considered it necessary to constantly monitor the signals indicated that some kind of aggression against the nation is being prepared. The United States Army awarded Raytheon Technologies a $1.2 billion contract to deliver 6 more National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile Systems, plus equipment and support services to Ukraine. The contract brings the U.S. governmental's total order for NASAMS batteries to 8 to help the Ukrainian military counter missile threats and drone attacks. Raytheon's Missiles and Defense Unit has delivered to Washington the first 2 NASAMS batteries as part of the 3rd Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative package. According to a Department of Defense notice, the contract work will take place in Tisbury, Massachusetts through November 28, 2025. And moving on to Cuba, the president of the National Assembly of People's Cuban's Parliament, Esteban Lasso Hernandez, met on Thursday with the Russian parliament authorities while paying an official visit to the Russian Federation. The Cuban government official met with the chairwoman of the Federal Council and addressed the plenary session. Lasso also met with the chairman of the State Duma, Bakir's Volodin and discussed the excellent status of bilateral relations between the governments and the parliaments of Cuba and Russia. Both parties signed the Act of Constitution and the Commission for Cooperation between the State Duma and the Russian Federation and the National Assembly of People's Power of the Republic of Cuba and agreed to hold their first session in February 2023 in Havana. And in Spain, a new envelope containing explosives was found in Madrid, this time found near the U.S. Embassy. According to local media, this is the sixth bomb letter intercepted in a week and the second one in a day. Since this Thursday, December 1st, one such letter was delivered to the Spanish Defense Ministry. Spain Security Secretary Rafael Pérez said preliminary data points to the explosive envelopes having been mailed from within the country. Pérez said that they are brown envelopes with similar characteristics. Pérez also said all necessary protocols have been activated and the prosecutor's office is investigating the event at the embassy, which resulted in one employee being injured. A China top authority are holding a consultation with local experts to improve COVID-19 measures. China's first deputy minister Sun Chulang said it is important to constantly optimize the country's response to COVID-19. Sun made the remarks at the National Health Commission, where she listened to the opinions and suggestions given by experts to improve measures to contain the epidemic. And as part of the World AIDS Day initiatives, the United Nations organization warned that inequalities in the world are an obstacle to fight against human immunodeficiency virus. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged the international community to increase efforts to end the AIDS epidemic, a commitment to be fulfilled by 2030, carried out under a rather slow pace. However, he also stressed that government agencies and civil society must expand access to health services and propose actions against the virus, all of which was undermined by the COVID-19 pandemic. We're taking our last break now. Join us again after this, but also don't forget to follow me on my Twitter account at teleSUR. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. More news now. Heavy gunfire broke out between government forces and M23 insurgents in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo on Thursday. Heavy weapons fighting resumed on Thursday in eastern DRC between the M23 rebels and the Congolese army after a 5-day truce following the decisions of the 23 November summit in Luanda. The ceasefire was to be followed by the withdrawal of the rebels from the captured territory, a withdrawal that has not yet been taken place.
We now fear that the rebels will arrive here near the city. I had to flee my village, but when I arrived in Kibumba, there was also a lot of gunfire. In the end, I found myself here, but the day before yesterday, soldiers opened fire here too, and we fled again to Gama. We came back here and we're suffering. I'm sitting here now, but I have nowhere to sleep.
The government of Nigeria has announced its decision to stop importing oil derivatives by the third quarter of 2023, or even earlier than expected. Nigerian Oil Minister Timi Silva said the renovation of a refinery in southern Nigeria, together with the construction of another one by the Dangote Group in the southwest of the country, will supply 60,000 barrels of refined crude oil per day by the end of December. On Thursday, Lebanese parliament deputies have filed for the 8th time in their attempt to elect a new president, continuing the current government void. In the meeting, independent 50-year-old MP Michael Moad got 27 votes. 52 deputies submitted blank ballots, of which 5 were annulled, while the rest of the deputies voted for other candidates. Parliament Speaker Nabeem Berry set to the next meeting to vote for a president for the next Thursday, December 8th. On Thursday took place the last match of the group stage in Group F of FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. Morocco beat Canada 2-1 and Croatia drew with Belgium 0-0. This way, the African team and the current runner-up passed to the next round. Morocco beat Canada 2-1 with the goals of Hakim Ziyech and Youssef and their swing in the first half. For the Canadians, the goal was scored by Naif Aguerd, becoming in the first own goal of the World Cup. This way, Morocco finished as first of the group and tied to the performance they did in 1986 when they also passed as first but lost in the round of 16 against West Germany. Germany crashed out of the World Cup of the group stage for the second time in succession despite a 4-2 win against Costa Rica on Thursday. The four-time World Cup winner came into the match needing a win, but were also relying on the result of Japan's game with Spain to progress. And Japan surprised in Group E and led Spain with 3 points. The Japanese surprised Luis Enrique La Roja and won with 2 goals at the start of the second half. The Spaniards dominated the first half. In the second half, the script changed. The Japanese, quick and incisive, were too much for La Roja, who, although they had a few chances, were unable to turn the score around. The defeat does not affect Spain's qualification for the next stage. And just as the hearts of millions of fans live the emotions of the Qatar 2022 World Cup, teleSUR joins this sporting event with From the Field, a show that brings news, analysis, reviews, and more to our audience. Don't miss it. Our show airs at 1 p.m. local time Caracas and 12 p.m. New York. Remember, From the Field, only on teleSUR. And with that, we've come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also be sure to follow us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For telesur English, I am Estefania Bravo. Until next time.